You are now listening to the Cinnamon and Sugar Podcast featuring D'Angelo Williams and Gary Barnage. You push play and they'll push the limits.
Hey, it's your boy Tom here, and we are back with another episode of the Cinnamon and Sugar Podcast.
I think he's back. I think he's back. He actually had some energy in that one.
He did have some energy.
I mean,
where the
last
hell
week he
has
was
this
like
time
crying
been?
when he did it. This time he had energy.
I brought all the energy this week because you muted your boy going out of last week, and so I am ready. I am ready to get into it today, but you know what? I'm going to be respectful. I'm going to hold off and bring it up a little bit later. First of all, we're going to start. How was your weekend, fellas?
Well, I didn't do anything this weekend, so I don't have much to contribute to this conversation. I just played video games. I relaxed. I hung out. That's about all I did, really. I didn't do much. Oh, yeah. I did. I lied. I hung up a porch swing. Me and my dad put up a porch swing. Yep.
You didn't have a fucking porch, Gary.
It's out by the pool.
You hung it up, or did you supervise?
I did it. Well, me and him both. We had to move the chain. We had to do all that kind of stuff. Had to drill the holes. It looks good.
Why did you put a porch swing up?
Because I've always wanted a porch swing, and now I have one. And it was a perfect spot for one.
I apologize. You rich. You right.
A porch swing? Get out of here.
Yeah, you rich. You said you've always wanted one, and then you got one. Like, there's no, boy, unbelievable. So what I did this weekend, I didn't really do much at all either, Gary. I really didn't.
I think we should hear what Time did then. If neither one of us did anything, I'm sure Time did something.
You know what, Time? What did you do this weekend? Because I really didn't do anything. I take that back. I'm going to tell you what I did. So our neighbor house is for sale, right? And y'all tell me if this is too much or if I did the right thing. And I want to hear from you, Gary, and I also want to hear from you, Tom. So my neighbors are selling their house, and when you sell your house,
are they selling it to get away from you, or
no? They just put it on the market because right now it's a seller's market. So I've never met these neighbors, none of that. But my wife was going through the pictures, and she was like, "This is a really nice house," and I'm like, "Yeah, it is." And every time she talk about a house, she talk as if she wants to buy it. And, I'm talking her off their ledge.
Hey, Time, talk about rich over there.
Right.
I'm going to buy the house next door to me. No big deal.
Here you go with that, right? So she's talking about it. She's going through these pictures, and she stops. And she's like, "Oh, gosh, honey, we've been looking for this." And I'm like, "What is it?" It's a big-ass, gigantic Scrabble board. And she was like, "You think they'll sell it to us? They're moving." And I'm like, "Honey, what kind of question is that? No, what? You want to buy their scrap?" She was like, "They're moving. You know how you throw a bunch of stuff away when you're moving. Obviously, they're downsizing, So she reached out to our realtor to call their realtor and ask would they sell the board. And I was like, "Honey, why don't you just get it from the store?" She was like, "No, they discontinued these. They don't make them this big." So yesterday, I went over to the neighbor's house. I knocked on the door, me and her, and I was like, "Hey, congratulations on selling your house. It's under contract." And he kind of gave me like this weird look. And I was like, "Yeah, we knew it was." He was like, "Yeah, we got a really good realtor. Are you the one that put the offer in?" I'm like, "Nah, we didn't put the offer in, but we do want to put an offer in on the Scrabble board that you got that we saw in the picture." And he was like, "Oh, you want to see it? It's really nice." So he took us down to his basement and kind of gave us a tour of the house because obviously it's under contract. So he ain't going to be there long anyway. And I was like, "Hey, man, do you want to sell this, this Scrabble board?" And he was like, "Nah, man, we're going to hang on to it." But he was like, "This is where I got it from." And my wife was like, "Look, I've went through all those channels. It's not available anymore. It came out in 2014. They discontinued them, so they don't make them anymore." But he was like, "Well, I got a cabinet guy that possibly could make it for you." I had a long conversation. We probably spent about 45 minutes over there talking to him about it, found out they was gamers, stuff like that. It was pretty cool. My question to you was, did I go too far by literally going over these people's house like, "Hey, yo, sell me the Scrabble board, bro," because, you moving anyway.
So the question is, you said you reach out to your real estate agent, reach out to them. Did they not do it beforehand?
They never did.
It didn't sound like it.
We asked that question. We said, "Hey, we reached out to our realtor," and this was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
We said we reached out to our realtor. He reached out to yours, and they told us that the person that bought your house also bought your furniture too. And he was like, yeah, all we're moving out is our clothes and our personal pictures. They bought the furniture and everything in his house, bro. And come to find out, the guy told me that the house was staged. So they bought the staged furniture, not the guy's furniture. But I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be talking about that.
So you
But
just outed him. Okay.
basically just outed him because I want the Scrabble board. All right. That's what this is really about. So the question is, did I go too far in trying to acquire this Scrabble board?
I'm going to say no because you at least reached out first. You gave it a couple weeks before you went over there for the contact to be made. And it sounds like that you're going to be paying for one to be made. Talk about rich.
Wow.
I personally think that is a lot of channels to go through for a Scrabble board. But here's what I'll say where you didn't go through too much is it seems like your wife really wants this Scrabble board.
It's 60 by 80 inches, bro.
Right. And so if it's going to make her happy, you're going to go through any hoops you got to get it for. And so you know what? You are the husband of the year for going through all these channels.
Don't give him that because he didn't do any of it. He just walked next door with her. She did everything else.
First of all, I rode my bike because it was down the street a little bit. And here's what's crazy, though. Here's what's crazy. I didn't recognize the guy or the woman, but I recognized the dog, though. And I was like, oh, you're the one that walked the dog. And she was like, yeah. She was like, I was like, I thought you was your daughter because I never really look at the people.
Wow. So not only did you, D'Angelo, you are blowing my mind with just how gracious and how like glorious you are.
Hold on. I feel like he's up to something because he never gives compliments, and I don't know what he's doing right now.
He's 100% up to something.
I don't know.
He's trying to fuck me up.
Hey,
I don't know what. I mean, okay. I'm on this. No, you're stopping time. What did you do this weekend?
Yeah, what did you do this weekend, Tom?
Well, no, what I was just saying was, D'Angelo, he gave us that bad experience of him on bikes not too long ago where he crashed. So I was just saying I'm proud of him for getting on his bike to ride down there to neighbor's house. That's all I was going to say. And then next thing I was going to say is, are y'all boys ready for WrestleMania? I was wondering if y'all bought my ticket yet. That's what I was really buttering everybody up for, was to see if it.
I don't know if it's checked, but I gotta move money from my checking to my savings back to my checking savings. Then I can get back to you on that.
It's gonna take 3 business days.
It's actually gonna take 7. Because COVID's still going around, so banks still aren't working on a good. They're using COVID as an excuse not to give me my money. So I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna work out, man. First I heard pies, then it was 25,000 people. Because of me not knowing how safe being in that particular building is going to
put you in that risk time.
We don't want to do that, man.
It just would not be smart. You have a family to worry about.
Yes. Well, really, it's D'Angelo we're worried about because you live in Florida. I live in Texas. We're wide the hell open.
True.
Yeah, I don't expose myself to 17 games. So yeah, you're right.
Oh, 17 games. You know what? I want to get to that with you guys, but I know we have a guest that we need to bring on. So I say we go ahead and bring them on.
No. We want to know what you did this weekend. What you do this weekend?
Oh, okay.
What the hell did you do this weekend?
Look, I hopped around and we went to the zoo for my son's first birthday. He dressed like a kangaroo. I dressed like a kangaroo, and so I just here's the fun part about it. Here's what makes it interesting. So,
how old is your son, Tom?
1. He just turned 1.
Why the hell are you dressing like a kangaroo, bro?
So this is why I picked kangaroo. Cynthia's dad, whenever a child is born, he always assigns them an animal. So Cynthia's nickname is Penguin. Well, he assigned Braden kangaroo. So that's like his little animal nickname for the family. So since it was his birthday party, we were all dressing like, me and her were going to dress like kangaroos. Well, it got too hot for him in his kangaroo outfit. So he took his off and changed into something else. So I'm sitting here walking around this kangaroo romper with a cowboy hat on, looking like the fat kangaroo that can't find his family because no one else is around. But here's the thing. It gave me a perfect opportunity to work my dad jokes because what would happen is, as you can assume, people come up to me, oh my gosh, I love your outfit. Or are you a kangaroo? Luckily, my kangaroo had like a little pouch where it had a little stuffed animal in the front. So I'm like, yeah, I'm a kangaroo. And they had a kangaroo exhibit at the zoo. So I said, I'm on my lunch break. I got 15 minutes before I got to get back into the cage. That was my dad
That's
joke
a good one.
of the day. So yes, you're welcome, D'Angelo. Are you over here looking jealous because you didn't think about getting a
No,
romper?
I feel like I've seen movies on this where later like kids come up missing. So it's just
Wow.
a very weird situation.
All I
Like,
know is Cynthia definitely should have walked away and let
Right.
you walk around by yourself looking for them, and then let people stare at you. Then
But
I'm trying to figure out
here's-
what the point is.
here's
Like, why did
honestly-
you dress up as a kangaroo again?
Well, you guys know me. I'm already down to dress up, down to clown. I feel say so. I just thought it would be funny if, since he was dressed up like a kangaroo, I dress up like a kangaroo with him because I like to dress up for stuff. But here's the analogy I've been giving people. I don't know. Did y'all watch Home Improvements at all? Whenever it
of
was.
course.
So do you remember the episode where the oldest son, Brad, he's dating a girl, and they both agreed to go to this hot costume party as Raggedy Andy and Raggedy Ann?
Yeah.
Well, something happens at school. She gets mad at him. She shows up to the party with a boy who goes on to become Sean Hunter from Boy Meets World, dressed as like a biker chick instead of Raggedy Ann. So my boy's stuck at the party looking at like Raggedy Andy with no like partner to make it make sense. And it stuck out to me because that was one of my favorite scenes in that movie. And I'm like, hey, that's who I feel like today because Braden's already changed out his outfit because he's too hot. Now I'm stuck in this kangaroo romper all day walking around. And I know parents are pulling their kids away as I'm walking by, like, get out of this.
Okay,
kid.
I got 2 points with that.
Uh-oh.
One, you should have brought a change of clothes so you could
Yes.
change, knowing
Well,
the kid's gonna get hot.
That was never an option. He was committed. He
Correct.
was committed. That
And
was never an
two,
option.
And if two, of course she's gonna leave him for Sean Hunter from Boy Meets World. That's a
Right.
given.
Right.
No,
Well,
no. See, I thought the third one would have been the second one, which the question would have been, okay, after she didn't show up what are you doing with this kangaroo outfit now that you've worn it? Like, are you keeping this and you gonna do it
He's gonna
again?
wear it all the time.
oh,
It's role play now.
Right. Now we're gonna go down under every other weekend. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, what you don't want to do is you don't want to be that kangaroo that dude box, because if
Right.
Cynthia punches her ass in the
Right.
face-
Jacked one.
Yeah.
no, he couldn't be the Jack kangaroo. This would be like the Wish kangaroo. The one-
y'all know me, so I know this is not going to surprise you, but I actually have 2 containers in the garage full of like costumes and props and like outfits. So this is
You
just
never.
all right. So this is just going to go next to the Jaws onesie, the 90s Nickelodeon romper, the flamingo,
NSYNC.
the NSYNC costume, all that fun stuff. So, just add in the Times Closet. No big deal here. Are y'all done? I feel like y'all, you're trying.
Yeah, I think we're good to go now. I
All
think
right,
we're
all
good.
right.
we could bring our guest on now. I'm ready.
Here's what's
I'm ready.
crazy is we know D'Angelo likes to handcuff the podcast earlier and take it over. But whenever D'Angelo reached out to us and told us that he had a guest he wanted to bring on, and he told us what this guest did, Gary and I were flabbergasted that he even had a friend like this.
And we still don't believe him.
We the same way D'Angelo didn't think that Gary could bring on a black woman, it's the same way we're not sure that D'Angelo's bringing on this friend right now. But we'll see. D'Angelo, why don't you go ahead and introduce our guest for us?
I mean,
today?
like he's brought on like 17 guests in a row.
Right.
It feels like
Well,
when
first
do
of
we
all-
get to bring
Gary.
on a guest? When do we get to?
First
Well,
of
I did
all,
bring
look.
on the last guest. That's correct.
I
I was
say.
just gonna say, in the last guess, it's up for debate on whether or not you brought the black woman onto the podcast. However, we can say this though: in the first time in history, I am bringing on a cop.
A cop?
I am bringing on a cop, yes. And we're gonna protect his name and likeness, so we're gonna call him RC, okay? Because he's a undercover cop, and he don't want people to know what his name is when he frequent donut shops. So we have to protect his name, image, and likeness, okay?
Well, his image is out there for everybody to see, so that's already gone.
I was
yeah,
gonna
everybody.
say,
Everybody's going to see RC. Welcome to the podcast, RC. I guess the first question is kind of give us a little bit of background on you. Like, how many years have you been in law enforcement? because we got a lot of questions for you. It's Monday morning. We're on the heels of this monumentous uh uh what is it, the George Floyd
trial?
the trial. Yeah, the trial. So just kind of give us your background, because I'm gonna ask you a lot of questions concerning the trial, not necessarily about the trial, but just the operations and stuff like that. Just kind of give us your background.
16 years in law enforcement, so I'm like on the cusp of just a little over halfway to retirement. It's a full 30 years.
Oh shit, you got to go 30 years to retire?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
If you have time saved up, you can get out a little early. But yeah, so 16 years. I've done a little bit of everything from working in the jail, where people actually have to wait to go to trial, working patrol, working in the courthouse and worked as a detective, and worked in the schools as a resource officer. So done a little bit of everything, actually. Oh yeah, civil. I forgot about that. Thank you.
So I do have one question. Were you ever a bike cop?
That now. Thank you very much.
Just a little backstory on this. A while back, we talked about D'Angelo wrecking his bike on a ride, and D'Angelo actually rides with him. So D'Angelo sent me a random video. D'Angelo sent me. They didn't want me to bring this up, but I would be remiss if I didn't. So D'Angelo sent me a video randomly, and it happened to be a dog running out and a guy running over the dog, basically, and face planting. And it happens to be the guy we're talking to right now. So and he's wearing an Ultimate Bicycle shirt. So I had to ask and bring up the bicycle stuff. So it was a hilarious video because 2 dogs took out 7 people on a bike ride, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, and I thought D'Angelo does the hijacking on the podcast.
No,
just when I can kind of have to do it.
Now you see what's going on here. So I guess we'll start off with this, and this has nothing to do with the trial, but we're gonna get there. As a citizen of the United States, honest question, don't lie to us, because we can tell if you're lying because we can see you.
Right.
Do police officers have quotas that they have to meet when they give out tickets, speeding tickets? When y'all set up these speed traps, and it's always normally at the beginning of the month or the ending of the month, like, is there some type of quota that y'all have to meet? Because y'all sure get out a whole bunch of damn tickets.
Well, I know nothing about any quotas, because everything that I issue is just what I issue. It's not like a personal goal or an agency thing where it says, hey man, you've got 100 tickets you got to issue this month or anything like that. So
no, that's not true. It's a myth.
No, I don't know anything about quotas. I mean, I hear that myth all the time, but I don't know.
So it sounds like.
So do you get looked down upon, or not looked down, but like, do they mention it if you don't give out, like, say you give out 1 or 2 tickets a month? Would they say, no, that's not enough, you're not doing enough, or do they bring that up at all?
No, I've never heard of anything about not enforcing traffic or anything like that. Usually,
let's be real. This is kind of like one of those Fight Club situations. The first rule of
Can't
Fight
talk
Club
about
is
That's exactly what this is.
It's definitely, well, the whole purpose of a traffic stop obviously is you saw a violation and you're trying to stop the violation. Like when they send you to radar school, to get you certified to operate a radar.
Hold up. You got to go to fucking radar school to work a radar gun?
Yeah, man. There's a school for everything, but the whole point of working radar, is to enforce, the speed limit to get people to slow down to try to save lives. That's the whole point.
Okay, so that's you trying to get me to believe that's what traffic stops are when y'all set up those damn.
If you believe it or not, but that's how it goes. That's how it's.
When y'all set up these speed zone things. And, y'all are stopping. Y'all have like 14 police cars, and y'all have the guy with the radar gun. These speed traps. This is to save lives.
That is not for a quota. Trust me. That's just to get people to slow down.
We have one of the worst speed traps I've ever seen. Probably 45 minutes an hour away from here. It goes from 55 to 35 to 25 in the matter of like maybe 100 yards.
Yeah.
And the cops just sit. No, that's legit. Like the cops just sit there because if you're going anything over, you're getting pulled over. It's ridiculous. They put billboards up saying radar trap upcoming, so people know, hey, slow down because they're gonna get you.
Is that Stark County, Florida?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
You know this.
See,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
terrible. I don't go
we go
there
through-
ever.
When the first time we went down there was like, we've been married almost 13 years. So about 13 years ago, we're on our way down there, and my bride's dad calls and says, hey, when you get to Stark County, watch your speed, because it's, like he said, it literally 55, 35, boom. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, buts about it. So
And they're just waiting. They don't give you time to slow
we get
down.
there,
Oh, that's crazy. So I guess we can get to this trial now. So getting to the trial, I want to know this. Well, actually, let me back up because I took that too far. Tom, I got to ask all these questions because I got them in my head, and I don't want to. I don't want to hijack this podcast, but I kind of somewhat.
Roll on
Yeah.
Jeff without us knowing. That's hijacking it.
Yeah,
Here's my thing. Here's my thing. Y'all pay me to host it. If you want to host it, I don't care. I'm getting paid. I'll sit back and watch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So this is my question, and I've always had this question, and this question is this: when you pull me over and you give me a ticket for speeding, and they give me a court date, do the judicial system talk to you and be like, "Hey, man, you free on the 19th in these next 3 months"? Do y'all talk about that? And then when you do show up to court, are you at work or do you have to come up there on your off day? Like, how does that work?
yeah, it just depends on obviously the area, but like where I work, we get a list of court dates for the year, and it's usually the days we're working. So that's like if I'm, like right now, we're about to go into April. So if I issue a ticket or anything, and it's on me what court date I want to put on there of the list I have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like a few weeks back, I had somebody tell me, because I had to stop them because they almost hit me. But I stopped them, and of course, I didn't have a driver's license. And I was like, look, how long do you think it'll take you to get your money up so you can go get your license? And they're like 2 months. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll give you, this court date of May, 7th or whatever. Give you time to get your stuff together,
Right.
and go get your license. And that way you can at least say, hey, look, yeah, that day I was driving, I didn't have a license, but I got one now. And it'll be up to the district attorney or the judge, whoever they see at that point, to see what they want to do. So,
Okay. So me trying to wait out, like if you gave me a court date and say, hey, this is your court date, show up, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be there because you at work anyway.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
And it depends on what the charges are too. Like, when you're talking a lot of traffic stuff, that's usually an infraction, depending on where, like, where I live, that's what it is an infraction. You have misdemeanor traffic offenses, and those are, if it's a misdemeanor, 9 times out of 10, you could have like a trial with the judge and the DA and have the officer present. I mean, that's different. So, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So now I've gone to court and they found me guilty of speed and I don't have the money. What's the process after that? Am I still in contact with you, or have you completely turned me over to?
Pretty much done. I mean, after I issue you the ticket, unless they either subpoena me and say, hey, we need you in court for a trial or something, or if you plead guilty, that's between you and the basically the judge will say you've got like 30 days to pay, or
Oh, so you don't have shit else to do with it. You just you've done your job and you've turned me over to the DA.
after the action, it's over with.
Okay, so I've always wanted to know this because I got a ton of these questions. I'm just glad we got a cop on. So RC, I'm involved in a drug bust. You arrest me. You're the arresting officer.
Right.
I'm involved in a drug bust. You take me to jail. Do you charge me, or do the DA or the judicial system charge me? Because I've always had conflicts there on where the charges come from.
Yeah, well, the arresting officer is the one that does the charging. So they should go before some judicial official to swear out to, the probable cause for your arrest, right? So that way they're not just going around and picking you up off the street and taking you somewhere, because that would be a violation of your, Fourth Amendment right. So, but yeah, they'll take you before a judicial official, say, look, this is what, I got Mr. D, with this much, contraband or whatever you want to say got with, and then they'll say, okay, well, we believe you, so they'll give you the arrest warrant and take them into jail. So.
Okay, so have it ever been a situation where you've gotten a person, and maybe this not as egregious as I'm making it sound. So say you pick somebody up and you just like, oh yeah, it's clear cut capital murder. But is it any way the DA can be like, nah, we're going to do second degree or third degree, where there's a disconnect between you and what you think they should be charged with versus, or are you and the DA working together?
Well, I mean, when you get into stuff like that, that's definitely going to be a phone call before you even make a charge. 9 times out of 10, you're going to contact the DA about the case.
Okay.
Even if it's, hey, I just watched this person, kill somebody in front of me, and I've got handcuffs on them. Obviously, yes, I'm going to take them to jail for first, but you're still going to talk to the DA and say, hey, look, this is what we got, before you even do anything.
So how often do y'all disagree? Like if they say, okay, well, we think we can charge this, and then you might think it'd be something else. How often is there a disagreement between the two? I know it's not y'all's job to put that as for the stick. It's the DA's job, but like, do y'all disagree on different things like that or no?
No, I mean, when I was in the detective bureau, I worked with the DA's office a lot, and would call them and say, hey, this is the case I'm investigating. I've talked to this person, interviewed them, whatever, and this is what I've got. These are the elements of the crime that I want to charge. And they may say, well, you don't really have all the elements, or let's look at this charge instead, that kind of deal. So, but there's never like a disagreement.
So the reason why I bring it up, okay, so obviously, I don't know if y'all seen it. I'm sure D's seen it. The movie Law Abiding Citizen, because it ties in with this whole story we're talking about. So it's a Jamie Foxx and Gerard Butler movie. Gerard Butler's family, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this movie, it's 15 years old. Good luck. His family was killed by these two people, and one person said that they're willing to rat out the other one to get a death penalty, and then this person gets a lighter service. The father that was family was killed. He said, I don't want that. I don't want you to cut a deal. The DA still cut a deal, and the guy got out. So he plotted his revenge against the whole judicial system for how they treated it. So like, does that, like, I know that's obviously it's a fictional, it's a thing, but like when I'm watching the movie, I'm on Gerard Butler's side. I'm not on the DA side.
Where do these plea deals come from?
Like why are you willing to let this guy walk who literally killed this guy's wife and kid, and you're letting it happen just so you can get the other one put a death penalty? Obviously, I know that's a big dramatic thing, but like that they want you to feel sorry for the DA, but I was rooting for the villain in that movie,
right?
So to say. And I know that stuff happens at times where like people get accused less than what it could have been and what everybody else wants. So what's the thought? Like, I know you don't have any say on it, but like, how's that feeling coming from you when you see if something like that happens? If you think it's something more.
Well, when I first got into my career, like most people, when they get into something, they're full of energy, and like. I would get upset if I charged somebody with something and like I knew, hey, I got them on this, and then let's say it got dismissed for whatever reason, for there was some factor that whether, like you said, they're working some kind of plea deal, because again, I don't have anything to do with that.
Correct.
So, but now, like after being in the business as long as I have been, I don't get upset, because the way you have to look at it is I did my job and I'm moving on. I can't, it's not a personal thing. And it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be like, hey, I'm, this is what I'm trying to do, who I'm going after. So,
no.
Just they got to do and keep moving on and keep serving.
Okay. So now we're moving up to the trial. Why the fuck is it taking so long for this trial to start? And it's starting today, which is insane to me, but it happened a year ago. I thought we had a right to a speedy trial.
Yeah,
why did it take a year to get to this speedy trial? And they said it's supposed to last for 4 weeks. We're footing the bill on this as taxpayers. Yeah. What the hell is going on, RC? I don't understand how we're footing this bill because it's going to take 4 weeks, and it took a whole year. I mean, I don't know if they're getting facts together. I mean, they got everything that they need. Right. So it's a 3-part question. 1, why does it take so long for a speedy trial? 2, why is it supposed to last 4 weeks, which probably going to last way longer? And 3, how the hell do you find 15 jurors that that don't know anything about the case that's going to be
Right.
unbiased when it's
Right.
a national case?
Right.
Those are my 3 questions.
Yeah. So, first question was, why is it taking so long to even get to the trial?
Yeah.
That there, honestly, again, I can't speak for that case because I have no clue what the factors are. Because usually, like I said, case in point, you charge somebody, you usually give them like 30 days. Right. Well, that usually is going to either be depending on the area where your case is. That's going to depend on it's a first appearance, right? So when you go to that court date, and let's say it's a criminal charge, the judge is going to basically advise you of your rights and see if you want to hire an attorney, represent yourself, or have a court appointed if you can't afford one. So boom, however you decide that, all right, we're pushing the court date to this, right, to give the attorney time, to get their stuff together. Well, the attorney, that court date can come up. The attorney can ask for a continuance because they need more time to get their stuff together. Okay. So a lot of it really is on the defendant, as far as if their attorney's like trying to get things together. And if it's a big trial, obviously like this situation, they may be trying to figure out, okay, we have no other trials on this date. We can focus this allotted time for this trial. So that's kind of, I guess, the way that happened for this trial was they were still getting everything together, and that's why, okay, look, we've got this date where we can do this trial then.
Okay.
That's what I'm guessing. So, but yeah, to answer your question about the right to a speedy trial, I mean, yeah, you got a right
4
to
weeks.
it. There's a lot of things to it. And then as far as why that case is taking 4 weeks, again, there's so much involved in that. Like you said, I mean, how are you going to pick 15 people for a jury that don't know anything about this case? Right?
I don't think that's possible, personally.
There's no way.
I don't think so either.
But you're a cop, though. What do you mean? You can't. That's not your line. You don't supposed to say that.
Well, I mean, I'm still a person. Still live here in America. So
yeah.
So yeah, I don't think there's. I don't know how that's going to play out. But and then on top of that too, if they're saying it's going to take 4 weeks, I mean, obviously their defense is, they're going to try to present everything they have, to prove, or well, the prosecutor is going to present everything they have, obviously to prove the guilt of the defendant, and then the defense attorney is going to do everything they can to, try to sway the jury not to convict.
So, question. So, have you worked trials and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, sitting in on a trial, yeah.
So, how does it work with witnesses? So, say a case was going to go on for a month and a half. The jurors. Do the jurors, they have to be separated from society, or do they get to go home every day and then come back the next day? How does that work? Because I feel like there could be a lot of contamination between, you might watch the news, you can just say you didn't watch it, and then people can be influenced, their thoughts and stuff, by what they see on the news, because the news is going to cover every trial, especially a big one. So like, how do they make sure there's not issues like that between jurors if they say they haven't seen it, to make sure they don't see it?
Yeah. With that case that we're talking about that's coming up today, I would think that that they probably would put them up like in a hotel to try to keep them away from other people. Because I know when you, like, being in a trial where I'm from, when the judge is sitting there telling the jurors what they're supposed to be doing, they'll tell them, you're not to talk about the case amongst each other. You're not to, talk about the case, at home or anything like that. Because they want you to truly give, listen to all the facts. And then when it's time to get together and make a decision, in the juror room that they take them to, that's how that goes. But
so they get to go home after each trial?
Yeah, I mean, here they do. They go home every day.
So I just feel like if it's a drawn out trial, then I feel like that just breeds opportunities for things to be
Yeah.
the jurors to be impacted by other things, outside forces, not even just people, like, because obviously there's juror tampering that happens in cases, but
Yeah.
like, and then just the media, you see in the media, people watch TV. Some people love to watch the news. Well, if they're covering the trial, you're not going to change the channel when they're covering about it. Most people aren't going to do that. And I know that they probably ask them, hey, have you learned anything new about it? And everybody answers no, because you're not going to want to be thrown off the thing
Right.
either. So like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like if it's a big trial or extended amount, they should be secluded. Like, it should be, if you want to be a part of it, you have to be secluded. You don't get. You can't say, hey, you don't get internet, you don't get TV, because then what? Like, that's the problem you're always gonna have, because everything's out there. That's
Yeah.
what the way things are now. You're always gonna have all the information at your fingertips.
Yep.
So it's just a unique situation for any trial.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I would
know.
never want to be a juror ever.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Don't vote then, Gary.
They've had cases where a jury has said something or got back to either the DA or the defense attorney or even the judge, and they've had to basically do like a mistrial. Like, all right, we got to end this and have to do it all over again. So
And I think it's very hard on the jurors as well, because in some cases they're deciding the innocent or guilty of a person, and if they go against the other person, then the media or people can be scrutinizing them for voting the way they did and
Right.
acquitting or convicting somebody, and they have no say. They can't talk about it. They can't give their stuff. They just have to take all the criticism and verbal abuse they're going to get, which is tough. Like that, and they wonder why people don't want to be jurors, because it would be a tough thing to do, especially afterwards. If it doesn't go the way society thinks it should go, you're going to be ridiculed for it.
Yeah.
Right.
As a cop, are you immune to jury duty, or no? You still? Okay.
I mean, and I have never had to go for jury duty. I'll probably get a letter next week now that I'm talking
I
about it.
can't wait for you to go.
I can't wait either.
But I have seen other officers, like when I worked in the courthouse, I had seen other officers show up for jury duty, and I mean, they still have to go through the same process as anybody else. But 9 times out of 10, like especially if it's a criminal case, and they ask, hey, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a cop, and then they're going to be like, all right, thank you for coming, and you're dismissed, because they don't want that. But I know I had a coworker one time. He actually got picked for a jury trial in a civil case where, like, I think there was a doctor being sued or something, and so he had to sit in on that. So
that's not bad. Have you ever been a part of a case, and I know you can't really talk about it, but I want to know, where somebody broke the law, but you understood why they broke the law, and you was just like, damn, man, like, even though you was right, you're wrong because you broke the law.
Yeah.
Like, where they did something. How do you handle that as a cop when, like, morally, like, you just like, I understand why you did it, but like, you can't do that.
Yeah. I mean, there's stories all the time that you hear about officers that, like shoplifting. Case in point, they may find some, I think there was a story one time where this woman was stealing diapers because her kids needed diapers, or formula or something. And the officer, instead of charging her, even though he caught her red-handed, he goes and buys, the diapers or the formula for her, like trying to help out, and like that's different than, catching somebody. Like I remember this one case where at a grocery store, and this dude is like got steaks, you know what I'm saying? Like he's got them thick bones, he's got them in his pants, and he's trying to walk out the store, and it's like, come on, man, I ain't buying that steak for you. But I mean, people saying like stuff like that, it's like, come on, you can't, like people that steal beer or things like that. But there are people that, they're trying to survive, and it's tough.
Okay. So I guess this would be really good, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask this question. How do you need to engage with a police officer when being pulled over, regardless of what law you've broken, regardless of what race, creed, color you are? Like, what steps can I take to ensure that you're safe and that I'm safe when I get pulled over by a cop? Because if you watch the news, man,
Yeah.
you know, cops get a bad rap. I understand that. Cops get a bad rap. We've been friends for a very long time. And I completely understand that. But I do want people to understand universally how to engage or have conversation or communicate with police officers, whether they're in your jurisdiction or in somebody else's, whether cops being a dick or not being a dick. How can I ensure that you're safe and that I'm safe as well? Like, what steps can I do?
I'm glad you said that last part though, because that your question, it's a two-way street. So I'll say this as a citizen, right? Let's just say
Right.
I'm a citizen. I get because I've gotten pulled over. I mean, in the last 16 years, you know, because I do speed occasionally and stuff and get caught.
Right.
And I'll sit there and I'll wait. 9 times out of 10, they have a firearm in the car, right?
Right.
So I'm just sitting there with my hands like on the wheel, and the officer will come up and, you know, explain why they stopped me. You know, or don't ask the question, you know, do you know why I stopped you?
I tell them that all the time. That's the dumbest question. Cops
know,
ask you.
And all you're doing is just keep your hands where they can see them. And if you know you've got something in the car, you know, let them know, hey, look, check it out. I've got a gun in the center console, or there's a gun in the seat. I stopped a guy Friday this week, and he had a gun in the passenger seat. And I can't see it from, you know, the driver's side. But he tells me off the bat, he's like, hey, just to let you know, deputy, there's a gun in the seat. All right, cool, man. Leave it there. As long as you don't want to hurt me, we're cool. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I would say. Just listen to them, you know, follow directions, and that's fine. You know, and understand too, like the cop is probably nervous as all get out too, because again, in the world we live in, you know, a lot of felony assaults on law enforcement are from traffic stops. You know, they have been time where officers get shot just walking up to a driver's side window just to say, hey, look, I pulled you over for this or whatever. But why I said that question, you know, is a two-way street, I personally feel that as officers, we set the tone for the interaction. You know what I'm saying? So if I come up to you and I'm being, you know, disrespectful in any kind of way, how's that going to make you feel? You know, and how are you that? So that sets the tone, you know, and I feel it's the same with us because, you know, we can go up to a window. Like I had one a few weeks back, lady was just yelling at me. I mean, I hadn't even said hello to her yet. You know, she's like, you're wasting my time. I got to do this, blah, blah, blah. You know, and I just walked to her and I said, hey, ma'am, I'm sorry. You know, this is the reason why I stopped you. I understand you got to get somewhere. Just give me a few seconds. Let's conduct this and then we can move on. Right.
Right.
And that calmed her down, you know, but that, again, that's a 16-year veteran, you know, doing something. Whereas you may have some kid, you know, straight out the academy and they're like super excited, wanting to go get everybody. And, you know, they just don't have a lot of maturity and how.
So how did you deal with dick cops when you get pulled over? Let's just call it how it is. Like, how can I get by with this dick cop? Whether I feel like I've done something wrong or not, he comes to the car, he's yelling, he's all aggressive, straight out of the academy. He doesn't really know. Like, how do I diffuse him as a citizen?
You know, just keep calm. Best you can. Don't let him get the best of you. Let's put it that way. Yeah. And do what you're asked to do. Whatever. Take your, you know, if he issues a ticket, fine. If they're, you know, were disrespectful to you, you know, call and make the complaint. Now, some people will say, well, that ain't gonna happen. Like nothing's gonna happen out of that. You don't know if anything will happen out of it or not, because again, that becomes a personnel matter or whatever. But I know, like, the times where if somebody complained on me and I was legit in the wrong, yeah, I got my leg switched. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's the only thing I would say for the citizen is like and that's in anything in life. You know, somebody's, you know, being a dick to you. That's why I try to tell my kids, like, just keep it moving, and you know, there's other ways to get away from it. So
the citizen side of you. If a cop pulls you over and says, do you know why I pulled you over? What's your answer? I want to know the citizen side.
He's laughing because I've had this conversation with him.
I said about the numerous times, man. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I told him, and I tell RC this all the time. The two dumbest fucking questions cops ever ask you is do you know why I pulled you over? Mm-hmm. That's the first one. Yeah. And what was the second one?
was it? Because I can't remember what the second one was. Go ahead. Because I still hung up on the first one though, because I love that.
Do you know how fast you was going?
Yeah, there you go.
Look, first of all, I know I was speeding. Okay, I know exactly how fast I was going. But if I tell you how fast I was going, you're gonna give me a ticket.
Right.
And if I say I don't know how fast I was going, you're gonna tell me, and you still gonna give me a ticket. So why the hell you ask me this question?
Confession time. Confession. That's what it is. Yeah.
Well, that's what I always say. I always say, don't give an answer. No, why was I pulled over? Because then you're admitting guilt right at the start.
Yeah. That's like the old saying my dad used to say about a friend of his. He said, he asked him, hey man, did your dog bite? And the guy goes, no, dog doesn't bite. So he goes and pets the dog, and the dog bites him. He's like, man, I thought you said the dog don't bite. He said, that's not my dog.
So how do you feel about this one? You get pulled over, and the cop is going through the scenarios of, all the questions that D'Angelo hates. And then they're like, well, you mind if I look in your trunk? What do you do? Because I've had that happen to me. I know I didn't have anything to hide. I'm being compliant. I'm like, okay, I don't care, whatever. But, I feel like that's obviously the average citizen probably by now knows that's not exactly the grounds that a cop should be able to do. So if that's you, what are you thinking? Like, as a cop, how do you expect people to respond? And then, like, citizen side, how would you respond?
I mean, again, those are. Dang, Tom hit me with some loaded stuff now, man.
Yeah.
I mean, again, as a citizen, we all are protected under the Constitution. We have rights, right?
Right.
So, I mean, if you ain't got nothing to hide, obviously, like for me, I'd be like, yeah, I mean, if you need to look in there, go ahead. I mean, whatever. But then again, I can also say no, because that's my right. So.
But now, if you say no, can you just bring the dogs?
If
you
no.
Yeah, like if I'm like, hey, I want to search your thing, you're like, no, I'm good. You can't do that. Well, so I can bring dogs down. Like, does that happen a lot or no?
We're getting a little deep in the woods there, just because, and it's not that I don't want to answer that question. It's just like there's different case laws.
Of course, some are probable calls. I 100% agree.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll stay out of that one.
Oh, this is going back to that.
Speaking of the Constitution,
Fight Club.
Right, I'm about to say, speaking of the Constitution, he's pleading the fifth.
Yeah. Oh, they love those laws, man, for sure.
I think of Jay-Z all the time when I hear that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I want to hear what RC what Jay-Z song you talking about?
No problems.
Oh. But
the lyrics of that one.
Yeah, what's the hook? What is the hook? I want to hear the hook.
Oh, what he's saying in the song?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember how it goes. Yeah. He's like, the glove compartment's locked. I know my rights, and you'll need a warrant for that. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, okay. So this is my last question for you, RC, and I'm gonna let Gary and Tom have it. So if I know for a fact that I haven't done anything wrong, I get pulled over, and whether I've done something wrong or whether I know I haven't done wrong, I'm playing the role of, yo, bro, you pulled me over for nothing. You pulled me over because I didn't look like I was in this neighborhood. You pulled me over because maybe it's all women in this neighborhood and you just see a suspicious guy. I didn't do anything wrong. Do I need to respond like I hadn't did anything wrong, or do I just always err on the side of caution and say, hey, you know what? I understand that I know my rights, but at the end of the day, after this traffic stop, I'm going home to my family. So I'm gonna treat whatever this officer is, no matter whether they're a dick or not, with respect, or do I just go off like, because I know my rights and you've broken my rights? Because if it's the other way around and I did something to you as a cop, then you will respond with force. But I don't get that same luxury because I'm not a cop. So in that situation, how do you respond?
Again, man, just goes back to just being respectful. And I mean, the whole force stuff again with that, and that's kind of getting into the woods there too. But
yeah. Well, when I say force, I'm not necessarily talking about a gun. I'm just talking about maybe talking, or
it doesn't always have to be. It could be, like you see in the movies, or on TV shows or things, or even the films of real cops where you've seen guys get thrown on the ground And it's like, man, that was aggressive. What'd they do that for? Everything's different. Like there's always something with the scenario, like whether or not it was justified or not. You know what I mean? So,
Right. Yeah.
So I
not
had
to get
one.
away from what you asked though. I would just, again, like I tell my kids, just be respectful. And like I said, if that person's out of line, there's ways to deal with it, down the road.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
So I got a question because obviously there's been situations, but people don't understand the different sides. So, like for example, say you got called to a scene or something like that. How different is like your call? What you get responded to you can be completely different than what's actually going on.
Oh,
Does
that's
that
a
happen a ton? Because like you could be showing up expecting something else, and then you show up and it's a whole different scene, but
You're
you're
right.
only going to trying to show up to what you were reported while you're going there, and then you show up and it's completely different. That probably happens a ton, but
You're right.
I know there's a lot of like hate thrown everywhere because there's so many different sides to it, and you're only getting one side. Everybody else is getting one side. So we don't really know how do you combat that as you're working, because you could show up somewhere and it's completely different than what you were told. Like, how do you handle that?
You just, again, you go with an open mind and try to do the job. Obviously, like, okay, I was called out for a loud party, but there's something else here going on, and
Right.
you try to investigate it best you can and deal with it best you can, and you may get shut down. They may say, no, you're not, what were you here for? Or I got a loud party call, but I'm seeing there's some kids here that, probably don't look old enough to be drinking, I'd like to find out what the deal is. Sorry, my bedtime reminder was going off. But, and that's just, you got to go from there.
Okay. Most before you go, most dangerous call, so the most non-dangerous call, that's the most dangerous call that you guys are dispatched out to. Like maybe it's like a guy with a dog, and maybe the dog like bites officers 40% of the time, or maybe it's domestic assault where you get there and you just like, oh shit, like there's guns, knives, like this is really bad. Like what's the one where you think it's like, oh okay, this is just the easy call, but then you show up and it's like a shit show?
Yeah, that's the only thing too with that. I mean, any call can potentially be dangerous. Yeah. Well, especially in the times we live in now, man, like people just don't respect each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, so yeah, and anything nowadays, anything can be dangerous. So, and but yeah.
Okay.
Well, officer, I had a question I want to bring you up. You talked earlier about the guy that was in the grocery stores smuggling the steak in his pants.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of a story I wanted to ask about, was because we talked about some meat.
Mute.
Mute.
100%.
That's the second time we've had to mute
Ah,
time. He
guy
just gets
here,
out
bro,
of
is
control
mute.
sometimes.
Mute.
So we will mute him again
Ah,
because we're not going to let him hijack it. We
Yeah.
don't like to let that happen. So we're going to mute him again. You're not supposed to be laughing. You're supposed to be muted, sir.
yeah, you're supposed to be muted. I need you to mute yourself, Tom. Okay, but speaking of that, like it kind of brings this up, and I know you probably can't. What is it like? So civil and criminal cases. So
Right.
we look at the Deshaun Watson thing, and
Yeah.
he's going through all the stuff that he's going through, and it's a civil case. What's the
Mhm.
difference between a civil case and a criminal case, and are they investigated differently?
So from what I know of that, from what I've seen, on TV about it, is you got these women that are just alleging, some improper.
No, I think what D's saying, he's just saying, so what's the difference between,
Well,
not even
but-
in relation to that case.
This is what
Yeah.
I'm saying
Okay.
about that as a reference. So they're basically just going and doing a civil, like, suing him, right, claiming that he did this, but they never went and reported it, to my knowledge, for it to be investigated by law enforcement. At any point in time, law enforcement can say, well, look, we're going to reach out to one of these victims and ask them, hey, well, what happened? And if they, say, well, on this date, at this time, whatever, this, and then they could do an investigation that way, for it to be criminal. But as of right now, that's all civil, where they're just legend that he did something, and they're just trying to.
So if you leave it civil, then there will be no charges against him criminally wise. It's all basically in the
Money.
court of opinion in the public, but it's all dealing with money, suing. It's not really about trying to get him locked up or nothing because it's not criminal. Civil is different than criminal in that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if they're not wanting to file, charges against them criminally, or wanting to report it to law enforcement to be investigated, or the DA, like they may be saying, they may be watching all this going on, like, hey, I wonder if there's something to this criminally. But yeah, if that's not going on, yeah, there's not going to be any criminal charges.
So just to clarify, this is in any criminal versus civil thing. It's not just in relation to Deshaun Watson. This is in general terms the difference between a civil and criminal. That one, there's no charges filed against the person. It's more of just you're suing them, and then criminal is all about getting charges filed.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Interesting. That's interesting.
Well,
Wow.
I'll tell you a good example. Talking about that, so O.J. Simpson, he was found not guilty in his criminal case, and then after that, the family sued, in the civil case, and they won in the civil case.
So is there less evidence needed in a civil case than a criminal case?
I would say you would need the same amount of, or you'd need whatever evidence you're trying to prove in either case, whether it's criminal or civil.
So then, how would one be innocent and one would be guilty?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I stumped the cop.
And on next week, yeah, no, that's definitely an attorney question there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it might be attorney. Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying, like, that's why it's interesting because you brought up the O.J. Simpson case. He lost a civil, but he was found innocent. So if you're supposed to be proving the same thing in both courts, how do you get different results?
Right. Yeah. That's a good one.
Wow. Am I unmuted yet?
You're
So, Time, you got to get an attorney for the next one because we got to.
I wasn't.
We definitely got to get an attorney.
I wasn't even going to talk about Deshaun Watson. I was going to bring up the Hamburglar, but it's okay if y'all have to assume what I'm going to talk about. We'll just move on from here.
So I do have one question before we let you go because we've talked about this previously on the podcast. It is dealing with like laws that don't make sense that were established way back when the start of America. Why are they still in place? Are they enforced? Why are they enforced? And the one we talked about on the podcast is having multiple wives or husbands. Why is that against the law? Is it just because it was based in religion aspect and we're just going to keep it a law? Why is that still a law? Why is it not gotten rid of? Why do we enforce it if it is enforced? Why is that still an issue?
Yeah.
Come on now.
Oh, you wanted me to answer your question?
Yeah,
you're loaded.
You to fight club that. Don't fight club this.
Yeah, you want me? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know why we can't do that. So, I mean, there's nothing saying.
Though? Like, is it still enforced? Like,
bro, you got 16 fucking years in law enforcement, and all you gonna give us is I don't know. Like, at least lie your way through. Like, we all did that at school at some point.
I'm just saying though. Like, again,
not the law writer.
Every situation is different, and depending on what I think in where I live, that is a law about having multiple wives, and I think if you get found out, they're going to investigate it, and because I believe there was somebody at one point in time, not too long ago, where they got charged criminally for being in polygamy. So
how the hell is that a criminal offense?
Yeah, exactly. It has nothing to do with
but like Gary said, it was a law, and it was made many years ago.
But it's based off religion. What if they're not religious?
It's never been. If it's still on the books, if the law is still on the books and it's still good to charge, people can still charge it.
But it wouldn't be like it ties in with like back in the 50s when they started having you put your hand on the Bible in court of law, put your hand on the Bible. Now they're not forcing you to do that. You don't have to do that anymore. It used to be mandatory. Now they basically
still putting their hand on the Bible.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying like now people don't do that. I'm saying some people still do, but you have the right to refuse it.
Yeah.
You have. So I'm saying like, back in the day, you were not allowed to refuse it. You had to put your hand on it because in the court of law, you're under God, and that's a holy thing. But people still lied under it. It doesn't matter. So like, why why are we still tying things to religion when there's a ton of people out there that aren't religious, they don't believe that way, but you still
Right.
expect them to follow these certain laws that were based on religion.
Yeah, I don't know why they
Right.
keep doing it. So
For you to be a cop, you don't really know much. You don't really know much at all. I see. I'm gonna get you a question. I'm gonna give you a question though, and I know you can answer this one. And this is me speaking for a lot of people, but you'll understand when I ask this question. Why the hell would you want to be a cop? It's shitty pay. You putting your life on the line. Like this is, and we're gonna end it with this. Like, why be a cop, bro? Being a cop in any time is there's a stigma that comes with it. Because you're a law authority figure. Like the pay is not good at all. The retirement, you got to work for 30 years, and I'm not sure what what's the when you work in the beat, what's the odds of you making it 30 years?
Right.
I mean, you gunplay, stuff like that. What the hell made you want to be a cop? I've watched a lot of cop movies. I've watched a lot of non-cop movies. I've never in my life wanted to ever be a cop.
I know why
Right.
he wanted to be a cop.
oh, here we go.
He wanted that front parking spot at the stores that they don't deserve. That's what he wanted. That's why he became a cop.
Oh,
He didn't want to have to
fucking
walk from the
Gary.
back of
I
the
figured,
parking
I
lot.
figured Gary was gonna
love
say
you,
something
Gary.
like, he wanted a free donut with his coffee.
I
That was
fucking
it.
love
They
you,
already
Gary.
said that. We knew that one.
He's probably the reason why they got the cop parking.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, I disagree with cops having front parking spots. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
I 100% disagree with you too.
But okay, go ahead. You can give your reason why.
I didn't even know cops use parking spots. Every time I see them, they just park
That's
wherever
true.
they want.
They just drive
Yeah.
up on the sidewalk and park there.
It's a damn
Yeah.
fire lane here.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
No,
why you want to be a cop?
for me, it was, just wanting to serve. I mean, honestly, and as cliche as that may sound, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to serve and help people. And honestly, after 16 years, I hadn't changed. And I'll tell you, probably one of the greatest, I've had numerous things that happened in my career that reaffirmed that. But this actually just happened yesterday, and I was going to tell you about it later. But I met this guy several years back in the jail when I worked in the jail. Nice guy. Down on his luck, whatever. Well, he's gotten out. He's doing really well for himself. I ran into him not too long ago. I was looking for somebody, in the city, and we exchanged phone numbers. And he actually, was helping me out, telling me where he thought he saw the person because he knew him. So don't call him a snitch because he was.
I was just about to call
I
him
do.
that,
You're looking
yeah.
at me, RC got them snitches out there.
Yeah.
But no, he called me last night to tell me that his sister passed away. And I was like, man, I'm sorry, to hear about your sister. And he's like, well, I'm reaching out to you because you've always been good to me. And this is a really low point in my life. And he's like, I don't know what to do. I just wanted somebody to talk to. And I sat there and talked to him, man. It took like 10 minutes to talk to this guy on the phone. And even today, matter of fact, I sent him a text just telling him, hey, man, you're in my thoughts and prayers, And but I was telling my wife about that. And she was like, you're definitely doing what you're called to do because you care about people. So, but yeah, that's the whole reason for me being in law enforcement, man. I love people, want to protect them. And yeah, I mean, if I had to put my life on the line for, anybody, even Gary, I would do it, 100%.
As long as there's not a dog involved, right?
Here we go with the dogs.
That was so beautiful. That was fucking beautiful, RC.
But that's honestly though, I mean, when you talk to most law enforcement, I mean, yeah, they know how bad the pay is, and things that go with it and how we get treated. For the most part, we're looked at, the bad guys. Unfortunately, we have some of them in the business that have made it that way, but everybody, for the most part, they want to serve, they want to protect their community. So,
and I would
I
say
Go
say
ahead.
that's on par with like teachers, because teachers want to help kids, help the youth, and they know they're not paid very well. They
Right.
know kids are hard to deal with, especially when they're teenagers, because they're always going to talk back. So I would say it falls in the same realm as like they just want to help people.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's. They want to help people. Obviously, not everybody wants to help people. There are, like you said, there's bad apples, just like there's bad teachers too.
yeah.
But like I think that's why a lot of people get into it.
Well, and I'll say, talking about teachers, I told you guys being a school resource officer, right? Been something I've done. Man, you want to talk about really knowing what you're supposed to be in law enforcement? It's getting to work with those kids, man. Like, because I've interacted with so many kids, they don't have love at home. You know what I mean? Like, whatever their situation is, and then they see you and you get to actually be somebody to love on, like just put your arm around them and just say, hey, how you doing, and that's cool. I think that's another thing for me that lets me know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, because getting to share that with those kids. And I see why teachers bump the pay, whatever. I'm still going to be here taking care of these kids and trying to help them. And I think that's
I have to say this because there's a lot of people out here want to know this, and when I say a lot of people, I'm talking about probably everybody that's not a cop, and then we're gonna let you go. What kind of fitness test do they have for y'all? Because I've seen a lot of heavy set cops,
And I've seen you ride a bike. Come on.
wow.
Whoa. I'm just asking you, like, is there like a criteria that because I've seen a lot of cops where I'm just like, man, like a foot race would take you down.
Yeah.
What's the fitness test like?
And it depends on the agency. Like our agency that I work at, they're doing one now. To try to keep us in better shape, better wellness, and but a lot of places for years they never had that.
So let me guess, your grandfather did. You don't have to do it.
No, definitely not grandfather. Mine I did not do very well on.
Wait, I mean, y'all are avoiding the real issue here, and that's that these cops have been turned into pieces of meat and over sexualized, thanks to shows like Magic Mike and songs like Mrs. Officer. So how does that work for you, walking around with that burden, knowing that at any moment a lady could come hit on you and disrespect your wife? And it's got to be a hard life, knowing that uniform.
This is off the rails.
Knowing that time, have you seen me?
But see, that's it. It's the uniform that does it, because it's the uniform that gets these women, that get these guys, because it's been pushed into people's minds through Magic Mike and Mrs. Officer by Lil Wayne. So I respect you for carrying that burden. That's the real burden you have to carry around every single day. And we thank you for being somebody that will carry that.
As you can't see, you and Time look almost identical, so he's trying to take that credit so that he gets that too. That's why he's saying that.
And he doesn't ride bikes either.
Y'all crazy.
He doesn't ride bikes.
I do have one thing though. I do have one thing.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if we can talk about this though.
Okay, go ahead. We might be able to.
So the deathlon. Have you talked about that yet?
No, I hadn't talked about the deathlon yet.
All right. Well, I was just going to throw this out there because he never talks to me anyway. But I was going to challenge Gary, to a bike race.
Perfect. I'll get my four side by side. You get your bike. We'll shoot you. I've done my workouts for the last 15 years.
Oh, I tried to open it up to see if we get him on a bike, but he ain't going to do it.
What's crazy is he hosted it last time. I'm gonna try to get him to host it again.
Yeah, get him to come up, man. So we can
All I know is last time I hosted, I was promised somebody was going to dominate me in Mario Kart, and not one person showed up that was talking all their crap to play me in Mario Kart. Just wasting my time, and I would have dominated everybody.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
But that was it. I wanted to throw that little challenge out to Gary.
Perfect. I'll have Time do my part of the biking versus you.
RC getting his ass. Yeah.
He don't want that smoke, man. He don't want that smoke.
All I need to do is get a dog, and I'm good.
And the dog takes him out.
And then what's that will say? It rubbing is racing.
You'll be the rabbit. I'll be the turtle. I'll make sure there's a dog near there, and I'm good to go. Because you'll have to go to the hospital, and I'll be crossing that finish line.
Wow.
Hey, I really appreciate you coming on, RC.
Yeah.
I got to take full credit for having a cop come on. That's me. He had the black lady last time. I got the cop this time. So
yeah.
Hey, I'm very proud of, what I'm saying, being able to know somebody of your caliber. But I did have a question that I don't know if I can ask you on here. But we had this conversation. Me, Gary, I don't think I had it with you, Tom. And I'm not being disrespectful when I say this. It's just a serious question. So, and we probably should have led with this because it's a really good question. Gary, I told him, I said, I didn't really know how to ask it because I don't want to sound disrespectful when I say it. so as cops, as firefighters, we don't downplay the fact that you guys are heroes. However, you guys are doing your job.
Right.
So is there a thin line between being a hero and doing your job, or is that just what comes with the title of doing your job? You get what I'm asking here? Because and here's where I'm gonna get you at. I'm gonna let you answer that, and then I'm gonna come back with something. But go ahead. Does that, because you a cop, does that automatically make you a hero, or because you're thinking right now? This is a really interesting question.
Because I'm looking at I know people that they just do their job and that's it. They clock in, they go do work, and then they leave, and that's it. And then I know other people that this is their life, in the sense of they come into work, they do their job, but then like they reach out to members of the community that they serve, and they try to even do follow-ups with them. And I think those type of people, like I've got one that works for me now that I supervise, and she is constantly doing stuff with I don't know if I can talk about groups, but like Special Olympics, if I can throw that little see that for them. But like, man, she is constantly trying to do stuff with Special Olympics when she's working and off, and I love her passion for it, and it's like got me involved, helping with that organization, doing something here in our area. And so yeah, I think to me she's a real hero because she's constantly trying to serve. Does that make sense? Like,
Right, it does make sense.
So in terms of like going above and beyond, just your normal job,
right,
and doing more is what I think would constitute. And then also, which I talked to Dee about this, it's more of like another aspect, if you like bring in military, is when you knowingly put your life on the line.
Right. Yeah,
knowingly you're willing to risk your life for everything that you stand for to make sure things don't happen. That does make you a hero.
Yeah, that's and my thing. That's the biggest thing, is people that truly care, truly serve, and they're trying to do right by. Then yeah, those are heroes. But again, not everybody that wears a uniform, is a hero. Let's just be honest about it.
Right. So I asked that question because I got locked into a conversation with Gary, and we didn't bring time in this because I never got a chance to get to him.
He doesn't answer his phone.
Yeah, he doesn't answer his phone. But I was talking to Gary about this because we was talking about the hero thing.
Yeah.
And then I said the reason why I asked that question is because you remember the shooting that happened at the school where the guy didn't go in, the off-duty officer. He right down in Florida. He didn't go in, and everybody was calling him a coward. And I said, no, he did his job. He just didn't do the hero aspect of the job. He still did his job, meaning he was on duty. Some stuff went down, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm taking my ass home." Yeah. I'm not saying that he was a coward. I'm not saying that he was a hero, but I am saying that he did show up to do his job. He just doing it. He didn't do it in a heroic fashion. So that's why I asked the question to Gary, like, what constitutes you being a hero as it relates to being officer of the law?
Yeah.
That's why I asked that question, and you answered it when you said that the people that go above and beyond are heroes, but there's some people that clock in and literally just do their job.
Correct.
So there is a clear distinction.
If they even do that much of it.
Yes.
So you mean to tell me there's cops that just don't want to be cops? That makes that
Fight Club.
I like that.
That's a great way to end
Instead of no comment, it's Fight Club.
Yeah, thank you.
I gotta keep my mouth shut on that, because there's just some folks. It's like anything, man. Like like even in sports where you have a teammate that's not pulling their weight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. I knew a running back that was that way. That I played.
Really?
Hey, don't you start that shit. We ain't gonna have that. Okay, you can end this time.
I must say,
Right
that was a good ending moment, and Gary fumbled it away just like D'Angelo. So we're gonna go ahead and end it right there. And we appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Cinnamon and Sugar Podcast. We out.
You are now listening to the Cinnamon and Sugar Podcast featuring D'Angelo Williams and Gary Barnage. You push play and they'll push the limits.